Hey, and welcome to the Flush Studios podcast for patreon.com/Flush Studios. That's my Patreon. I do this Patreon thing where people pay $1. I can maybe make movies someday. That's the idea, is bringing it directly to the market. But this podcast is for that Patreon. And I'm Josh. It's early. We're doing a morning show. We're back. 1 year ago, I got together with my buddy Ness, and we talked about filmmaking, directing, and all sorts of fun shit. I think we talked about Godzilla movies, maybe. I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but
Brandon Routh's diet for some reason.
Yeah, Brandon Routh's diet. Okay, that's right. Now it's all coming back to me. A lot of people have asked me recently, like interviews, Q&As, like what made you want to make a feature? What made you start making short films? What made you make animation? Just like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you. There wasn't like a moment where I sat down and was like, I want to make something. I was fucking bored if I wasn't making something.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, I'm taking less interest in other people's art, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like I'll sit down to watch a movie. I sometimes even play video games because those inspire me. I found reading to be kind of my new outlet of inspiration that truly actually can still take me away completely. But most of the time, like, there's this guilt factor that creeps its way back into my brain that's sort of like, get back to work.
Right.
And I wish I could control that. But I mean, look at you. Like, you just finished a feature and you're rolling into another one.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah, you kind of are, you've announced it a little bit, but you're kind of going to announce on this podcast that you're working on a feature.
Yep. So we are in pre-production to do a feature film. It is called Dark Cloud. We've actually been trying to get it made since maybe last November, but I would say there's been this sort of hazy line or time when pre-production actually began, because there are so many what ifs. But now we have, most of the cast locked, and we have dates.
Having dates is the biggest hurdle. It really, at least for me, just having that, like, okay, this is when this is due, this is when this is due, because we have to start, so we need a script by this date. We need all of this stuff so that we can be in production.
Yep.
If you have a set date to start filming, then you're golden. At least for me, then I'm golden. Then I know, like, okay, I'm going to do this, so now I have to.
It all is kind of floating. It's like your cash flow or whatever your budget is, and who's going to be involved and who isn't. It's like you need cast in order to get investors, in order to find the cash flow to make the film happen.
Right.
But at the same time, if you are going to actually have a cast, the cast needs dates.
Right.
And maybe you don't have all the money you're hoping to have yet. And so it's just like, okay, it's this weird, like, sort of, I can't think of a good analogy for it, but
it's like a balancing act of figuring out
absolutely
how to move forward through this weird back and forth of, like, you need budget to have cast, but you need cast to have budget, but you need cast to have schedule, but you need budget to have schedule.
Yes. Yes, and it's like, but you have to make decisions, and some of them are very difficult.
What's your fear moving in?
Well, I mean, I feel like there's a broad way I can answer that. I guess if you'll just let me follow me on my journey here, because I can probably take this a few different ways. There is the whole fear of not having enough time. It seems like that will always be a factor. You will always maximize time subconsciously, I think, in your head.
Right.
Going out and
you're like, 14 days, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Do you know how long your shoot is?
My shoot is principal for the first, it's going to wind up being technically, I think, about 26 days.
Right on.
And because we're doing a portion of it in the UK, and then a lot of it is going to be here, though. For instance, we are still trying to lock down this location, and the difference between, our location and like a typical location is, like, our location is practically a character. I shouldn't say practically, it is a character.
Right.
And I haven't given the synopsis for the film, but or what it's about, but it is about a young woman. A young woman is subjected to rehabilitation through artificial intelligence in a cautionary tale about mankind's rapidly growing dependency on machines.
Okay.
And this all takes place in this house, this AI
It's an artificial intelligence based movie.
Yeah, it's built in this house. The idea behind the company that has developed the software and the hardware or the system is that, hey, the elderly are never going to have to leave the home they bought when they were newlyweds. Like, this system can come in and care after any sort of impairment, memory, age, or it allows for folks to be taken care of in the comfort of their own home. And this sounds a little cold, but without the dependency of their loved ones,
Sure.
having to spend tons of time. In this case, it's a young woman who has a short-term memory disability caused by human error. So she's very prone to trusting technology in order for
Right on.
this to potentially be a solution. She is kind of floating in her life, and she doesn't really know how to move forward because she has to depend on her sister, her family, her boyfriend. And so she is open to this because she wants to feel as if she can hold her own
Right.
in life. And there's a car accident at the beginning of the film that happens because there is a human driving this car. This is a world where we are crossing into the realm of self-driving cars,
Sure.
and then human driving cars, and this human hits her, and that kind of sets up the whole mentality behind, hey, technology, you can argue technology is better than humans in some ways, and there are things that they are less likely to screw up, and mistakes they can't make
Sure.
unless they learn how to, and learn how the human mind works, and can weave around their own programming in the sense of manipulation and lying. And in the end, with this film, being stuck in this house is our AI antagonist, who's played by the wonderful and amazingly talented Emily Atack from the show The In-Betweeners.
Right.
That she's the reason we're going to the UK, along with Adam J. Bernard, who is a Olivier Award winner. He won the Best Supporting Role in a Musical, I want to say for 2017, but it could have been 2016. He's playing Theo, who is Chloe, our protagonist's boyfriend. The AI, it's programmed to do something, but the difference between it and humans, or the way a human will think, is it doesn't really know where to draw the line. I shouldn't say doesn't know. It doesn't have that sense of morality,
Sure.
where to stop. And it learns and becomes accustomed to its patient, and it does keep in mind what it thinks is best for the patient, but at all costs. And also realize, hey, I don't believe that humanity has my best interests in mind. The common thought about AI is like awaking the sleeping demon, in the sense that it's going to figure out what it is, and humanity's interest won't be in its best mind. Well, this is kind of flipping around. It's sort of like self-realization, being like, you know what? No, like, humanity doesn't have my
Right.
best
Right.
interest in
Right.
mind.
Right.
My whole thing with this movie I'm doing is about grounding it and finding ways that, whether it be within the performance, whether it be the cultural references in the film, how do we make this as real as possible? And yes, I am asking you to create a character or tap into a character, but like, this character has to be an extension of something real, and that obviously you are real. And I think the more that you can tap into the reality of the individual who is portraying the character, and
Right.
and bring some of those things in naturally, you might not even be able to put your finger on it, but there are going to be a lot of there'll be things tucked in
Right.
to the performance that wind up coming out. And on top of that, the more you know how people operate and the way their brain works, people can interpret. It's like text almost. Like,
Right.
you
Right.
can read a text message in the wrong tone, and kind of like the same way that when you're communicating with actors or directing actors, like, there are certain words or certain ways or approaches that are going to work better for this person versus that person. So I think it's really, really important to get to know your cast and even your crew as much as you can before production starts, because then the more you know, you cancel out these different barriers and these walls that typically would get in your way, so you can walk that path and you see the wall and you avoid it, and you walk around it and get straight to it to get things done in a very convenient fashion.
Proper way.
Yeah,
like the right way. Like,
yeah.
and I totally get what you're saying. Like that, if you know, like, yeah, like you know someone, you can find it better. Like, if you know what they're going to be doing, you can help find it with them.
Yes.
And that's part of the process, is like knowing someone, you know what they're going to do. You have like a familiarity with how they're going to act. But then if you know the person, you can also build it upon you can build the idea on that person, the way they act,
Yes.
the way they are, not the way they act, literally the way they are. All right. Well, until next time, we'll have to do another morning. I like doing these morning podcasts. It feels very like morning showy.
Totally.
It's chill.
The brain is just in a different place, I feel like, than it would be at like 5.
Right, where we'd be like, it'd be more party and just like talking about your day. It's like it's less introspective. It's more like bullshitty. And this was very like informative and morning show, and we got information out.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right, well, until next time, I've been Josh.
I'm Jay.
Don't blink, folks.